I'm joined now from Paris by Remi Piet. He's a research associate at the Florida International University. His work focuses on political economies and foreign policy. Remi, Ursula von der Leyen certainly won, but it seems like she did not have universal support. Is it really because how she was nominated?
Well, I mean, she did get elected with a very narrow margin, just 9 votes. But this indeed has to be taken into consideration, the fact that there's a series of reasons why different parliamentary members would not vote for elections. For example, she's coming from the PPE, the People Party, which has actually received less votes in the latest European election. Therefore, was not able to get as many support as potentially former predecessors, and therefore the Socialist Party will not vote for her because of this, even if she actually showed some key social reforms when she was in government in Germany. You would have also the Green Party members that would actually not vote in favor of her, although she actually pushed a series of suggestions such as reducing carbon emission in the EU. And indeed, as you were saying, that whole process of selecting her name, which was a consensus between the different head of states, and therefore is not in line with the tradition inside the European Union of a parliamentary democracy, where usually it's the head of the leading party that would actually be elected as the head of the Commission. This has raised a series of criticism as to the fact that the European Union now moves towards more being an institution that will be in the hands of the heads of states of the largest countries, instead of being a parliamentary democracy.
Ursula von der Leyen has certainly, like any politician, has made a lot of promises. She's promised parliamentary and electoral reform, boosting gender equality, and vowing to be, quote, more ambitious when it comes to climate change. What do you think her main objective will be? And can she keep, really, these ambitious promises?
Well, she's going to be starting her term in November 1st, and there's going to be a series of different challenges on her agenda, and more than anything, also the position of the EU in front of a rising China, in front of the Trump administration. And I guess our main priority will be to be able to strengthen the EU voice internationally, and she's probably going to be able to do it much better than Jean-Claude Juncker. She's bringing to the table a very dynamic personality, a history, and a clear political experience of 14 years in governments in Germany, working with a series of coalitions there, so therefore being able to try to build consensus with different interests into in a commission or with the parliament. So she has that experience. Her priority probably, she's been moving forward in terms of finding more climate-friendly policies, also potentially looking at having a minimum wage across the European Union. Those would be clearly some key reforms in the European Union, but she's coming from the right wing of politics, so she's also going to have an agenda which is pro-business, and probably, as a former Ministry of Defense in Germany, wanted to strengthen the capacity of the European Union to have a clear voice on international matters and on defense matters at a time where we have a series of potential geopolitical crises and security crises around the globe.
Remi, what about managing Brexit and its aftermath? Boy, that's a big job. She's already told some of the MEPs she hopes the UK abandons its plans for Brexit.
Well, here the situation of the Commission, whether it's von der Leyen or whichever person that would have stepped in this role as head of the Commission, is just to try to look at the situation in Britain and seeing like complete quagmire and incapacity of the British MPs to find a clear plan of moving away from the European Union if such is their decision. Now, she was very clear of saying that in terms of the primary for the Tories right now between Boris Johnson and Hunt, she didn't have a favourite, and that's her role. She has to be respectful of that specific domestic process. She mentioned that she was ready to postpone the date of the Brexit, but that's definitely not anyway what Boris Johnson wants to do, and is a clear favourite in that specific primary in Great Britain. Here, the conditions from the European Union for Brexit have been very clear from the start. Whether it was from Jean-Claude Juncker before her or her, she's going to be moving forward with that clear condition and that deal that was signed with Theresa May. Whether the UK is able to find a better compromise that will be respectful of the situation of Northern Ireland specifically, will depend on Boris Johnson or Jeremy Hunt whether he actually wins this. But that's not in the hands of the head of the Commission. The head of the Commission is following the decision from the Commission of following this agreement with Theresa May of a clear Brexit that has been on the table, and there will be no renegotiation. That's for sure.
All right, we'll leave it there. Remi Piet in Paris. Thank you.